Welcome. Today we're gonna be talking about a little icy world called Enceladus. Now, Enceladus is one of Saturn's moons. It's one of the ones that it should be pretty eminent that alien life has evolved on Enceladus, because Enceladus has a lot of material that life can thrive off of. And not just that, but Enceladus is a very strange world, and it's known that, we don't necessarily know if DNA and RNA is absolute when it comes to the formation of life. See what I'm saying? So Enceladus, essentially, we don't really gotta find DNA or RNA. Niggas just gotta find the precursors to that, which would be, whether it be aromatic amino acids, monomers that then compose into polymers that then go into other processes. However the life on Enceladus is formed, just know that there's life. There's no question about it. Enceladus, I believe, is the 6th biggest moon in the Saturnian solar system. And pretty much the way Enceladus looks, very beautiful piece of art covered with a ton of ice. Enceladus's ice shell is known to be like 15 miles deep. Around 15 to 30 to 40 miles deep, depending on where you're standing. Now, they've recently found that in the poles, or close to the poles, the ice is 1 mile, which just goes further to tell me that Enceladus is being supercharged at its poles, causing there to be, especially when you have particle bombardment, there can be certain photon production events, there can be certain heat processing events that can slow down either the production of ice or annihilate it, essentially. Depending even on what type of ice it is, there's a lot of variants that go into it, because Mercury, being as close as it is to the sun, still has ice on it. So Enceladus is known to have different types of ice. Even the layers that it's known to have is ice, like it even has ice layers with different types of ice, whether it be ice 3, ice 6, the composition, depending on the pressure, depending on the molecule structure, that essentially is what gives you your isotope of ice. So in this little brief speaking on Enceladus, that shit crazy. Enceladus. Well, this little speaking, we gonna talk about silica. Now, they just found out more organic molecules, such as whether it be molecular hydrogen, whether it be carbon dioxide, whether it be methane, and other carbon isotope compounds. The thing that they found was dealing with Enceladus is that there are plumes that shoot out in a form of, it's in the same sense of a volcano, but they can either come out from geysers, they can either come out from, cryovolcanoes, which shoot a large amount of ice into the atmosphere. The cool thing about Enceladus is that Enceladus, the volcanoes that are found there, do actually shoot with the energy enough to go past the atmosphere into space and feed Saturn's rings. Now, the ring that's mainly being fed by Enceladus is Saturn's E-ring, which is, I believe, found between Titan and I think it's Titan and Rhea. But this E-ring is composed of certain ice particles. They found silica, they found carbon dioxide, they found other carbon constituents. They found a lot of organic material within the E-ring, because again, if you look at the E-ring, it can tell you essentially what's coming out of Enceladus, but you should also take a step back and understand that just because it's coming out of Enceladus and the E-ring is produced by Enceladus doesn't mean that everything in the E-ring is from Enceladus. You see what I'm saying? So that's another problem that you run into, because you could find some crazy shit that ain't never came from Enceladus. You see what I'm saying? So essentially, Enceladus has these what they're called geothermal vents, and these vents pretty much allocate enough energy to have what is called a water rock interaction. And through this water rock interaction of the deep sea floor, there seems to be an avalanche of heat that's being emitted. Due to these pressures, the heat then distributes this all the material that's in the rich core, because they believe that a lot of the rock that the ocean is sitting on is silica based. So with the tidal forces from Saturn, other moons, there should be some form of convection. They believe that should be going on, causing there to be heating inside the planet. So it's almost a reverse effect with Enceladus. The deeper you get, the warmer the water may be. The closer you get to the ice shell, the colder the water may be, which is very interesting. It's the complete fucking opposite when you're on Earth. But hey, different heating events. I mean, like I say, the water, they say the water should have froze over by now, but essentially the heating that's happening on Enceladus is so tremendous that you even have water vapor. And water vapor is known as a green gas, which can help with global warming. When you put water vapor and carbon dioxide together, they can heat your planet up exponentially. You can have carbon dioxide there, which will heat your planet up, but when you add water vapor to the carbon dioxide, and they've seen that within planets, it dramatically heats up your planet. So essentially, Enceladus is probably a lot warmer than we believe it to be. Now, these hydrothermal vents create certain compounds, whether it be molecular hydrogen, whether it be methane, ethane. Now, they're having issues understanding. I wouldn't really say understanding, but they're having debates whether the methane is from organisms themselves going through methanogenesis, or whether it's these hydrothermal vents doing all of this on their own. Now, the difference would be, part of the reason why they're having this discrepancy is because there seems to be a lot more of this methane in the lake. Like, it's a highly concentrated lake full of that material. On Earth, when you find that type of material in a lake, it normally the lake is normally inhabited by methanogens. So essentially, methanogens produce methane rather than eating it, and then methanotrophs eat methane rather than producing it. So the methanogens pretty much go and they drop off all this methane, which is then eaten by a whole nother family of methanotrophs, which can then feed a whole nother family, and it goes on and on and on. So as long as you have these hydrothermal vents that are able to give you this molecular food, honestly, for the bacteria, then essentially you should be able to have some form of life, especially with heating. I mean, to be 300 with you, it don't even matter what type of temperature you're really sitting in. Life seems to not give a fuck. So essentially it just depends. Like I say, if the life is key to it, it's gonna work. It's just like on Saturn rains diamonds. If the life is key to it, who knows when the diamonds hit the ground, there might be a microbe that's there waiting for the diamond. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, they've even found microbes that eat electricity. Stop playing with me. You see what I'm saying? They waited 2 years to watch a microbe eat a rock. You see what I'm saying? So microbes don't, depending on the species, don't give a single, you see what I'm saying, a single fuck about what the food is, this and that. If the family is dependent on it, it's gonna be there. You see what I'm saying? But essentially, this is a great discovery because silica is very important. Silica has a lot of similarities to carbon. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be valence electron wise, whether it be even being able to build a species, you can definitely build a species off silica, depending on the way that the atom structures are obviously structured, and dependent on the place in which, essentially the environment in which the structure is able to morph itself. So with this silica, I mean, this silica to me is very important because I love crystals, so so you probably could tell that there's probably some crystals on Enceladus that obviously is not on Earth. You see what I'm saying? Enceladus, the shell on Enceladus for some reason is so white. Like, if you were to move Enceladus into our, I guess you would say, rotational axis with the sun, and say throw the sun away, or not the sun, the moon, and throw the moon away, Enceladus would be up over 6 times brighter than our moon is. And you know how bright our moon is when it's on a full. See what I'm saying? Like, when the moon is on full, you damn near can see the surface. Stop playing. If Enceladus comes and takes a seat where the moon is sitting right now, you damn near gonna stop playing. You might see rivers on that. Like, keep it a beam with you, especially now that it's getting some real heat. You see what I'm saying? Like, but essentially, like I say, this is a very important discovery, because the more organic material that you can find coming out of these planets, the more observations and the more trained hypotheses that we could come up with to understand whether the biosignatures are just correct for this certain life to be there. See what I'm saying? Essentially, you just telling me that there's molecular hydrogen and carbon dioxide tells me that the only main processes that could possibly happen is probably methanogenesis and possibly a methanogen. You know what I'm saying? Those are the only. But when you add silica, when you add methane, when you add different types of carbon constituents, then what that does is that creates a more broader spectrum in which this bacteria could then thrive from, depending again on the family of bacteria that wishes to inhabit this planet. Knowing for a fact that this planet does have geological moving features, so the convection that's happening near the core is definitely enough heat to sustain, and you're obviously seeing that through the manifestation of these hydrothermal vents. You see what I'm saying? But like I say, another thing about these hydrothermal vents is they're called smoky white, or white smokers. So that shit completely. So essentially they call white smokers. White smokers is more alkaline. I believe it's like 40 to 90 degrees Celsius. They stay in much colder water. But dark smokers is the ones that you find more here on Earth. And we also do have white smokers, but dark smokers, essentially about 400 degrees Celsius, it's got to be real hot, real hot. You see what I'm saying? But white smokers, the temperature just has to be around 40 to 90 degrees Celsius, and you should be able to have a white smoker around. There might be a few planets out there that break that rule, who knows, but you know what I'm saying, for now that's what we going, you know what I'm saying. There might be some green smokers out there, I don't know. Let my brain keep moving. There might be a yellow smoker out there. What is it? It's shooting out gold. You see what I'm saying? Like, it just depends. Olivine. You see what I'm saying? Like, even when you're dealing with, it's very important, you see what I'm saying, to understand the composition of the rock that's being sat on top of this water, because essentially when you find that out, they're trying to do experiments here on Earth. A lot of Earth's crust has olivine in it. If you look it up, a lot of Earth's crust. So with them knowing olivine is highly is found in high numbers or in a high percentage in our crust, you can then start doing experiments to see what certain pressures. You can then do experiments to see pretty much what certain life could thrive here. You see what I'm saying? It's a whole, it's a lot, especially here on Earth. Like I say, with the olivine, they're trying to find out with the rock interaction how long it would take, what type of other processes would happen during this rock-water interaction, because with the rock-water interaction with this hydrothermal vent, that creates enough energy for amino acids to form. You see what I'm saying? Which could then give life to bigger life forms. But essentially, that's what we got here. We didn't read a single word out this motherfucker. I ain't gonna hold you. There's really nothing to read here. They ain't really talking nothing serious. I really gave you more than this shit would even, you know what I'm saying? But essentially, silica to me is very important. Very important. Just a new type of life, you see what I'm saying? The biosignatures could be a lot different. We talked about Mars, the aromatics that came from Mars. Like I say, these niggas went on Mars, couldn't find a piece of life. Mars said, man, these niggas is that. These niggas, let me help them. Mars sent a little asteroid. Lady had it in her hand. I'm gonna show it to you. They found so many organic molecules off of that one piece of rock that is orbiting Mars. It's not even sitting on Mars. There's a certain name for it. It's like Mars orbiting something, but they're pretty much certain rocks that orbit Mars, and essentially over time they do space out and hit other planets, go to other places. But one of them came here to Earth. Scientists, of course, came, picked it up. They found hella organic molecules, whether they be hot. Nigga, they found halocarbons, they found polyaromatic, man, look, the amount of amino acids that were found, they even found amino acids they've never seen before coming from Mars. So that's what we're here to talk about, you know what I'm saying? We're here to talk about the untalked about. So like with silica, like I say, very important. A lot of your crystals, silica based, you know what I'm saying? The sun is a giant crystal, stop playing. Another thing we're gonna talk about a little bit later, but essentially, water rock reaction, hydrothermal vents, surface jets. Another cool thing about Enceladus is that for some reason the surface of Enceladus is restoring itself and purifying the whiteness. So instead of going through what they call radiation darkening, Enceladus, I'm guessing myself, from these geothermal vents, not all the material reaches the space atmosphere, so some of it ends up coming down and raining down. Now when it rains down, I could only assume that now these thermal vents are raining down rich material on its surface. You see what I'm saying? Now, that material, a lot of it would be icy, especially when it hits such cold weather, because it would be highly pressurized, probably highly heated when it's down there. Comes up, reaches a whole nother temperature point, threshold, turns into something completely different, gets crystallized. I believe the size of these things are like 1/10,000th of a milli. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not big. So essentially, like, you need your telescope to be on 3,000, nigga. You see what I'm saying? To be able to pinpoint some of these tiny pieces of molecular interaction. So, like I say, Enceladus is very beautiful. I'm gonna have a little planet series I'm gonna do where I talk about all of these beautiful, you know what I'm saying, lovely icy worlds with different types of compositions, different types of everything. You see what I'm saying? But for now, we're gonna keep it simple. We're just gonna, you know what I'm saying, talk about the short discoveries. But I am gonna create a series where I talk about certain planets and I give you some knowledge on these planets, like as if you live there, type shit. But that's gonna be it for this one. It's lovely. It's very, very lovely. We have certain places on Earth that have very menacing environments that tell you to get the fuck from around here. You see what I'm saying? Like, certain environments that tell you, like, you know. You see what I'm saying? So, like, for us to have those environments and life to still be inhabited because of certain metabolic processes that go on, that should just tell you that, like I say, it's not about the environment, it's about the life that's key to the environment. You see what I'm saying? Gotta read it backwards type shit. But essentially, appreciate y'all watching the video. Much love for Enceladus, the white ghost planet. Shit. Ghostface killers. Shit, appreciate y'all. I'm gonna see y'all.